The day began with a soft, warm light. Down below, the Brisbane River flowed slowly. This was the start of an adventure I had dreamt of for years. We were setting off from this lively coastal city to travel deep into the heart of Australia. Our destination was Uluru. Thousands of kilometres of road stretched out before us. It was a path that would lead us from the lush east coast to the arid landscapes of the outback. There is an energy here, a sense of possibility that fills the air. But our minds were already far away, thinking of dusty roads and endless horizons. This journey was about feeling the country, listening to its stories, and understanding its ancient spirit. Every great journey starts with a simple idea. For us, the call came from the west, the call of the open road. Australia is a country built for road trips. This journey from Brisbane to Uluru is iconic. We had spent weeks planning, but no amount of planning can truly prepare you for the feeling of actually starting. The open road was not just a physical path, it was a mental one. The whisper of the West had become a siren song we could no longer ignore. We were ready to answer the call and to follow that long, straight road towards the setting sun. No outback adventure is complete without the right vehicle. It becomes your home, your shelter, and your most trusted companion. For this monumental journey, we chose a sturdy four-wheel drive. It was not new or flashy, but it was strong and reliable. We affectionately named it the Wallaby, hoping it would be as tough and resilient as the creature it was named after. We spent the day before our departure making final checks and packing the Wallaby with military precision. We had spare tyres, extra fuel cans, and large containers of water, the most precious commodity in the desert. We packed a comprehensive first aid kit, communication devices for remote areas, and maps for when technology might fail us. It was a comforting feeling to know we were self-sufficient, ready to face the challenges of travelling through some of the most isolated parts of the world. Our sturdy four-wheel drive was our lifeline, our little bubble of safety and comfort in a vast and sometimes harsh environment. This vehicle was our ticket to freedom, the key that would unlock the secrets of the Australian continent. A journey of this magnitude requires a map, a chart of our dreams, a guide to the heart of Australia. We traced the route with our fingers from Brisbane, across the Darling Downs, and into the vast ochre expanse of the outback. Each name along the way was a promise of a new story, a new landscape. We marked points of interest, national parks, quirky pubs, and lookout points. The map showed the incredible transformation as the green faded to yellow, then to orange, and finally to a deep, earthy red. We were tracing a path from the modern world into a land that has remained unchanged for thousands of years. The map was our starting point, but the journey itself would write the real story. The final moments in Brisbane were filled with a quiet sense of ceremony. We took one last look at the city from our vantage point. The morning rush hour was now in full swing, a complex dance of cars and people, all moving with purpose. Our purpose, however, lay in the opposite direction. It lay beyond the city limits, beyond the suburbs and the familiar comforts of urban life. It lay out there on the western horizon, a horizon that seemed to shimmer with a golden promise. It was time to go, to leave the embrace of the city and venture into the great wide open. Driving out of a major city is always a slow process of shedding layers. First, you leave the central business district with its towering skyscrapers. Then you pass through the inner suburbs, with their charming old houses and trendy cafes. Next come the outer suburbs, a seemingly endless sprawl of brick homes and shopping centres. Slowly but surely, the buildings become smaller and the spaces between them grow larger. The traffic thins out and the pace of life begins to slow down. You can feel the city's grip loosening with every kilometre you travel, a feeling of release and liberation washing over you. As we merged onto the Warrego Highway, the main artery leading west, the feeling was electric. This was it. The journey had truly begun. The road signs that had once seemed like distant names on a map were now appearing before us, pointing the way towards Toowoomba and the west. We passed the final vestiges of the city, and suddenly the landscape opened up. The concrete and glass gave way to rolling green hills and wide fields. The air seemed to change, becoming cleaner and fresher. We rolled down the windows and let the country air rush in, a symbolic breath of freedom. The horizon ahead was a clean, unbroken line. It was a blank canvas upon which the next few weeks of our lives would be painted. We were driving towards the unknown, towards adventures we could not yet imagine, and people we had not yet met. The city was now a collection of shapes in our rearview mirror, growing smaller and smaller with each passing moment. We were leaving the familiar world behind, but we were not sad. We were filled with a profound sense of joy and anticipation. The road stretched out before us, and the promise of the horizon called us forward into the heart of Australia. Leaving Brisbane, the road climbed into the Great Dividing Range. This massive mountain chain separates the lush coast from the dry interior. It felt like climbing a giant wall. The air grew crisper as we gained altitude. Coastal vegetation gave way to eucalyptus trees. The views were breathtaking, with new panoramas around each bend. We could see the coastal plain and the Pacific Ocean. The scale of the landscape was immense. I thought of the early pioneers as we drove. We reached the summit, driving through the clouds. The landscape was gentler on the western side. The road stretched into the vast interior plains. Our adventure had entered its next chapter. Our first major stop after crossing the range was the city of Toowoomba. It sits proudly on the crest of the Great Dividing Range. It is known as the Garden City, and it is easy to see why. As we drove into its streets, we were greeted by an explosion of colour. Beautifully manicured parks and gardens were everywhere. Even the median strips on the roads were planted with vibrant flowers. It was an unexpected oasis, a splash of brilliant colour on the edge of the vast, dry plains we were about to enter. The city has a cool mountain climate which allows these magnificent gardens to flourish. We decided to spend some time exploring Toowoomba's famous Queen's Park. It was a stunning expanse of green lawns, ancient trees, and meticulously planned flower beds. The scent of roses and freshly cut grass filled the air. People were strolling along the paths, children were playing, and the atmosphere was one of peaceful contentment. It felt a world away from the hustle of Brisbane and even further from the dusty outback ahead. Toowoomba has a unique character. It blends the sophistication of a city with the relaxed charm of a country town. It is a place that clearly takes great pride in its appearance. We found a charming cafe and sat outside enjoying the mild sunshine. The city has a rich history built on the wealth of the surrounding agricultural lands. Grand old buildings and historic cathedrals stand as a testament to its prosperous past. It feels like a very solid, established place. It is the last major city we would see for a very long time. It serves as a vital hub for the vast rural communities to the west. For travellers like us, it was the perfect place to pause, refuel, and enjoy a final dose of urban comfort before plunging into the wilderness. As we prepared to leave Toowoomba, I felt a sense of gratitude for this lovely city. It was like a final, beautiful farewell from the greener side of Australia. It provided a moment of calm and beauty before the journey became tougher and the landscapes more demanding. It stands as a gateway, a point of transition. Behind us lay the coast and the mountains. Ahead of us lay the Darling Downs and the beginning of the true outback. Toowoomba was the perfect stepping stone, a gentle introduction to the heartland of Queensland. Leaving Toowoomba, we descended from the range onto the Darling Downs. The change in landscape was immediate and, honestly, pretty dramatic. The rolling hills gave way to a vast, flat plain that stretched as far as the eye could see. This is one of Australia's most fertile agricultural regions. The land was a magnificent patchwork of colours. Fields of golden wheat and green sorghum lay side by side, creating a beautiful geometric pattern that covered the plains. The sky above seemed enormous, a huge dome of brilliant blue. The road cut a straight black line through this immense canvas of agricultural bounty. This area is often called Australia's breadbasket. The rich black soil is perfect for growing crops and grazing livestock. We drove for hours through this landscape of abundance. We passed enormous grain silos standing like cathedrals by the railway lines. We saw herds of cattle grazing peacefully in lush pastures. The scale of the farming operations here is, honestly, mind-boggling. Huge tractors worked in distant fields, looking like tiny toys in the vastness of the plains. It was a powerful demonstration of humanity's ability to cultivate the land, to turn the wild earth into a source of sustenance for the nation. The sense of space out here was incredible. In the city, your view is always blocked by buildings. Here you could see for miles in every direction. The horizon was a constant, unbroken line. It gives you a different perspective on the world and your place in it. We passed through small, tidy farming towns, each with a pub, a general store, and a small collection of houses. These towns are the heart of the community, places where hard-working farmers come to relax and connect. There was a sense of quiet resilience and deep connection to the land in these places. As the afternoon wore on, the sun began to dip lower in the sky. It cast a warm, golden light across the plains, making the colours of the fields even more intense. The long shadows of the few trees stretched across the road. It was a time of magical beauty. The sheer emptiness and quiet of the Darling Downs was a kind of therapy. It cleared the mind and filled the soul. We were no longer just passing through a landscape. We were beginning to feel its rhythm, to understand its quiet, productive heartbeat. The city felt like a distant memory now. We were in country Australia. Our journey led us to Jandaway, a quintessential Australian country town. Nearby stands the Dingo Barrier Fence, the longest fence in the world. Stretching over 5,000 kilometres, it protects sheeplands from dingoes. This simple wire fence is a stark line across the continent, separating managed farmland from a wilder ecosystem where the dingo is the apex predator. It represents the conflict between settlement and the wild, raising questions about conservation and agriculture. More than just a fence, it's a symbol of Australia's ongoing story. It was a reminder that the most interesting things on a road trip are often the unexpected discoveries you make along the way. Heading deeper into the wilder side of Australia. Our last stop for the day was the town of Miles, another small service centre on the Warrego Highway. What makes Miles special is its remarkable historical village. It is not just a museum, it is a complete, recreated country town from a bygone era. We decided to spend a couple of hours there, and it really felt like we had stepped through a portal into the past. The village consists of over 30 authentic buildings from the region, all carefully moved and restored. There are old shops, a schoolhouse, a blacksmith's forge, a church, and a post office. It was a truly immersive experience. We wandered down the dusty main street of the village, peering into the windows of the old buildings. The general store was stocked with products from the early 20th century, with tins and packets that looked wonderfully nostalgic. In the chemist shop, there were rows of old glass bottles with mysterious potions. The schoolhouse had old wooden desks with inkwells, and you could almost hear the ghosts of children reciting their lessons. Every building was filled with genuine artifacts that told the story of the pioneers who settled this region. It was a vivid and touching tribute to their hard work and resilience. What I found most captivating was the attention to detail. The people who created and maintain this village have a clear passion for history. It is not a sterile, museum-like environment. It feels lived in, as if the original inhabitants have just stepped out for a moment. You can smell the old wood, the leather from the saddlery, and the faint scent of coal smoke from the blacksmith's forge. It gives you a real sense of what life was like for the early settlers in this often harsh and unforgiving land. It was a life of simple pleasures, hard work, and strong community bonds. As the sun began to set, casting long shadows across the village street, we felt a deep connection to the stories held within those old walls. The Miles Historical Village was the perfect way to end our first full day of driving. It had given us a context for the landscapes we were travelling through. It reminded us that these vast, empty spaces were once filled with the dreams and struggles of pioneers. We left Miles with a renewed appreciation for the history of the Australian bush. We were ready for a good night's rest, dreaming of the past and excited for the road that still lay ahead. After a night in Miles, we continued west. The landscape was changing, the black soil giving way to redder earth, the trees tougher, the space immense. Our next destination was Roma. This town is considered the gateway to the Queensland outback. We were crossing a line, leaving farming country for a wilder world. Roma is a vital hub for the cattle stations that surround it. The streets were wide enough to turn a bullock team, a reminder of the town's pioneering past. The town is famous for having the largest cattle sale yards in the Southern Hemisphere. Twice a week, thousands of cattle are bought and sold. Inside a classic outback pub, the walls were decorated with cattle brands and old photographs. Roma felt like an authentic slice of outback life, a real, working community. For us, it was the perfect introduction to the spirit of the outback. We were now in the outback proper. One of Roma's most fascinating attractions is a tribute to another industry that shaped its destiny: oil and gas. Australia's first discovery of natural gas occurred here completely by accident in 1900, when a team was drilling for water. This history is celebrated at a place called the Big Rig. It is an impressive outdoor museum dedicated to Australia's oil and gas exploration. Dominating the site is a towering drilling rig, a monument to the engineering and human effort involved in searching for treasures hidden deep beneath the earth. It stands stark and proud against the big blue sky. We spent hours wandering through the exhibits, completely captivated by the stories. The museum tells a tale of boom and bust, of hope and disappointment. We learned about the early pioneers of the industry, the oil-smeared men who worked in incredibly tough conditions. They faced extreme heat, isolation, and the constant danger of their work. The displays included vintage machinery, personal letters, and photographs that brought their experiences to life. It was a story of incredible perseverance and ingenuity, a testament to the human desire to explore and harness the resources of the land, no matter the difficulty. The highlight for me was the night show. We sat in an open-air theatrette as the sun went down, and the story of Roma's gas discovery was projected onto a giant screen. The show used sound and light to create a powerful, immersive experience. It told the story of how the town tried to use its newfound gas to light the streets, only to have the supply run out after just 10 days. It was a story full of charming local anecdotes and grand historical drama. It gave us a much deeper understanding of the town's identity and the resilience of its people, who never gave up on their dream. Visiting the Big Rig was a powerful reminder that the outback is not just an empty space. It is a landscape rich with stories of human endeavour. It is a place where people have risked everything in the hope of striking it rich, whether with cattle, water, or oil. The Big Rig is more than just a museum about an industry. It is a celebration of the adventurous spirit that defines the Australian outback. It was another layer of history that added depth and meaning to our journey, showing us the hidden forces that have shaped the land we were travelling through. Leaving Roma behind, we pointed the Wallaby further west, deeper into the heart of Queensland. The road stretched out before us, a long, straight ribbon of black tarmac cutting through the red earth. The vegetation changed again, becoming sparser. This is the Mulga lands, named for the hardy silvery green acacia trees that dominate the landscape. After a few hours of driving through this mesmerizing, almost hypnotic scenery, we arrived in the town of Charleville. It is the largest town in southwest Queensland, an oasis of civilization in a vast, sparsely populated region. It felt like a welcoming haven after the long, hot drive. Charleville has a fascinating and surprising history. During World War II, it was home to a top-secret American airbase. Over 3,500 US personnel were stationed here, part of the strategic defence of Australia. We visited a special exhibit at the local visitor centre that told this hidden story. It was incredible to imagine this quiet outback town bustling with American servicemen, with bombers and fighter planes taking off from secret airstrips. The town played a crucial role that was kept secret for decades. It was another unexpected layer of history, revealing the global connections of even the most remote places. The town itself has a classic outback charm. We walked along its wide streets, admiring the old buildings with their traditional verandas, designed to provide shade from the fierce sun. We met a local man who told us stories about the town's resilience. He spoke of the devastating floods that have swept through, and the long, punishing droughts that have tested the spirit of the community. Yet he spoke with a sense of pride and optimism. It is a spirit you find all over the outback, a deep love for the land, and a determination to overcome whatever challenges it throws at you. Charleville is also famous for something else entirely, something that becomes obvious as soon as night falls. Far from the light pollution of the big cities, the sky here is simply breathtaking. The stars are so bright and clear they feel close enough to touch. The Milky Way stretches across the heavens like a brilliant, shimmering river of light. This incredible clarity has made Charleville a centre for astronomy and stargazing. It was this cosmic connection that we were most excited to explore, a reminder that the wonders of this region are not just on the ground, but high above us as well. Our main reason for stopping in Charleville was to visit the Cosmos Centre and Observatory. As darkness fell, we joined a guided tour and our guide pointed out constellations. The most magical part of the evening was looking through the powerful telescopes. We saw the rings of Saturn and Jupiter's moons. We gazed at distant star clusters and galaxies so far away. It was a humbling and awe-inspiring experience. Leaving the Cosmos Centre, we felt a sense of wonder. Charleville had given us an unforgettable gift, reminding us of our small, beautiful part in the universe. The next morning, we left Charleville and turned north, joining the Matilda Way. Our destination for the day was the small town of Tambo. This leg of the journey took us deeper into the Mulga lands. The landscape was a stunning canvas of muted, beautiful colours. The dominant tree is the Mulga, whose silvery grey leaves shimmered in the sunlight. The earth beneath was a deep, rusty red, and the sky above was a vast, cloudless expanse of the most brilliant blue. These three colours, silver, red and blue, created a palette that was uniquely and beautifully Australian. It was a subtle beauty, one that slowly works its way into your soul. The road was long and incredibly straight. For hours we drove with the horizon shimmering in the distance, creating mirages that looked like pools of water on the road ahead. We saw very few other cars. This was true outback driving, where you can feel a profound sense of solitude, but the landscape was far from empty. We started to see more wildlife. Large kangaroos, known as red kangaroos, stood watching us from the side of the road before bounding away into the scrub. Flocks of emus, with their shaggy feathers and curious expressions, strutted across the plains as if they owned the place. We passed through no towns for hours, only the occasional sign pointing to a vast cattle station, its homestead many kilometres off the main road. It's honestly hard to comprehend the scale of these properties. They are larger than some European countries, vast kingdoms of red earth and mulga. Living out here requires a special kind of resilience and a deep connection to the land. You have to be able to read the seasons, manage resources carefully, and endure long periods of isolation. It is a life that has changed little in generations, a world away from the coast we had left behind. As we drove, I found myself entering a meditative state. The steady hum of the engine, the endless road, and the rhythmic pattern of the mulga trees created a calming, hypnotic effect. It was a time for reflection, for thinking about the sheer size and age of this continent. The journey was stripping away the non-essential, leaving us with the simple realities of the road, the sky, and the land. We were not just observing the outback anymore. We were becoming part of its vast, silent rhythm. We were travellers being reshaped by the ancient landscapes we were passing through. From Tambo, we chased the setting sun west. This was the legendary Channel Country, a unique region of ancient riverbeds. After rare rains, these channels transform the arid plains into wetlands. Our stop was Boulia, a true frontier outpost, and one of Queensland's most isolated towns. Boulia is famous for the Boulia camel races, a splash of chaotic colour. But the town's other claim to fame is the Min Min Light, one of Australia's most enduring legends. The sky filled with stars, and there was a feeling of anticipation in the air. We wanted to learn more about the strange light that haunts the lonely roads around this small town. In Boulia, the story of the Min Min Light is a local legend passed down through generations, captivating both Indigenous people and settlers. The story describes a mysterious hovering light that appears at night. It's often described as a fuzzy, disc-shaped light that can follow travellers. To learn more, we visited the Min Min Encounter, a wonderful, theatrical tourist attraction. It uses animatronics, sound and light to take you on a journey into the heart of the legend. We heard stories from stockmen, publicans and Indigenous elders, all sharing their experiences with the strange light. Scientists have proposed various explanations, like bioluminescence or optical illusions. But for many in Boulia, these explanations miss the point. The light is part of the magic and mystery of the outback, a story that is better left unexplained. It speaks of the vastness, the loneliness, and the enduring mystery of this ancient land. After our ghost hunt in Boulia, we headed for the Northern Territory. This is the heart of the Australian outback, a land of red deserts and ancient rock formations. There was a real sense of excitement. This was a major milestone. The corrugated, dusty track tested our trusty wallaby. We reached a humble sign, "Welcome to the Northern Territory." We stopped, took a celebratory photo and stood in the silence. We had crossed into the red centre. Our destination, Uluru, was now in the same territory, a real, tangible place we were getting closer to, with every turn of the wheels. Once in the Northern Territory, our route took us onto the ironically named Plenty Hwy. For much of its length, there is plenty of nothing. It is a long, remote, and mostly unsealed road that cuts across the semi-arid plains east of Alice Springs. This was by far the most challenging part of our drive yet. The road was rough, heavily corrugated sections shook the vehicle violently. A huge cloud of red dust followed us. The journey along the Plenty Hwy was a lesson in patience and endurance. The flat plain stretched to the horizon, broken only by the occasional ghost gum tree. It was a test of both the driver and the vehicle. Our wallaby performed brilliantly. Out here, you are truly on your own. We had our extra fuel, our water, and our supplies. Despite the challenges, the drive was deeply rewarding, becoming one with the car, the road, and the vast, empty landscape. Surviving the Plenty Hwy felt like a victory. After what felt like an eternity on the Plenty Hwy, a small sign appeared on the horizon, promising a caravan park. This was Gemtree, a small, privately owned oasis that felt like heaven after all that dust. It's more of a roadhouse and tourist park, a tiny pocket of civilization in the vast wilderness. We were greeted by shady trees and the welcoming smiles of the owners. Gemtree gets its name from the Harts Range, an area famous for gemstones. The park is a base for fossickers who come from all over to search for treasures. The place had a wonderfully quirky and friendly character. We decided to stay the night, booking a simple cabin. In the evening, we joined the other guests for a camp oven dinner, a classic outback tradition. As we ate under the brilliant stars, people shared stories of their travels. Gemtree was more than just a place to rest. It was a place that really restored our spirits. It was a reminder that even in the most remote corners, you can find warmth and community. The next morning, as we rejoined the highway to Alice Springs, we felt refreshed. Gemtree had been a perfect stop on our long road to Uluru. After the Plenty Hwy, Alice Springs emerges from the red desert. It's the beating heart of the Australian outback, a vibrant, multicultural hub. Surrounded by the MacDonnell Ranges, it's an oasis where the desert meets human connection. The town is a fascinating mix of cultures. There were brilliant art galleries showcasing stunning Indigenous art. We rested and resupplied, washing the red dust from our clothes. Alice Springs is the last major centre before Uluru, a crucial base camp. The Great Rock was now just a few hours' drive away. It's surrounded by one of the world's harshest environments, yet it's full of life. From here, the road led south, to the spiritual heart of Australia. Before leaving Alice Springs, we visited the telegraph station, where the town's modern story began. Established in 1872, it was one of 12 stations along the overland telegraph line. This connected Australia to the world, ending its isolation. Wandering through the restored rooms, we imagined the lives of pioneers enduring isolation and harsh conditions. Located by a waterhole in the Todd River, the station was named after Alice Todd. The town itself later took the station's name. This site represents a pivotal moment when the modern world arrived. It was a perfect farewell to Alice Springs, before we set off on the final road to Uluru. The road south from Alice Springs is called the Stuart Highway. It follows the path of the old telegraph line and the route of the famous explorer, John McDougall Stuart. For the first hour or so, our journey was framed by the spectacular West MacDonnell Ranges. These are not just mountains, they are the weathered remains of a range that was once as high as the Himalayas. For hundreds of millions of years, wind and water have sculpted them into the series of dramatic ridges and gorges we see today. Their colours are magnificent, a palette of deep reds, purples and oranges that change with the light. Driving through this landscape was a breathtaking experience. The ranges rose up from the flat plains like ancient, sleeping creatures. They have a powerful presence, a sense of immense age and authority. This land is sacred to the Arrente people, and it is easy to see why. Every gap, every peak, and every waterhole has a story, a part in the complex web of Dreamtime creation myths. We were driving through a living cultural landscape, a place where the physical and the spiritual are completely intertwined. The feeling was one of deep reverence. We could see the famous gaps in the range from the highway. These are breaks in the quartzite ridges, carved by ancient rivers. Places like Heavy Tree Gap, which serves as the southern entrance to Alice Springs, are not just geological features, they are sites of great mythological importance. As we drove, the ranges slowly receded, giving way to a flatter, more open landscape of red sand dunes and desert oaks. It felt like we were leaving the protection of the mountains and entering a different, even more ancient realm. The scale of the country was awe-inspiring, and the sky above seemed to stretch into infinity. The journey through the MacDonnell Ranges was a perfect transition. It was like passing through a grand, natural gateway. The mountains stood as silent witnesses to our journey, their ancient ridges watching us as we travelled south. The experience prepared us for what was to come. It attuned our senses to the subtle beauty and profound power of the Central Australian landscape. It was a reminder that the land itself is the main character in this story, a character of immense age, beauty, and spiritual significance. We were now well and truly on the final approach to the Great Monolith itself. After driving south from Alice Springs, we turned west onto the Lassiter Highway, the road that leads directly to Uluru. The landscape here is characterised by long, straight red sand dunes, covered in tough spinifex grass and the occasional desert oak tree. We scanned the horizon, searching for the first sign of the famous rock. In the distance, rising subtly from the flat plain, was a shape. Was that it? Could that be Uluru? As we drove closer, the shape grew larger, more defined. There was no doubt. It was Uluru. A wave of emotion washed over me. It was far bigger and more imposing than any photograph could ever convey. We pulled over to the side of the road and just stared. We were still many kilometres away, but its presence dominated the entire landscape. It felt alive, a sleeping giant in the heart of the desert. This first glimpse was a moment I will never forget. As we approached Uluru Kata Tjuta National Park, the domes of Kata Tjuta, 36 massive, rounded rocks, rose on the horizon. In the Anangu language, Kata Tjuta means many heads, and their clustered forms are as sacred and mysterious as Uluru itself. We hiked the Valley of the Winds trail, surrounded by ancient stone and deep silence, feeling the immense scale and spiritual weight of the place. The rocks, rough and textured, towered above us, commanding reverence. Visiting Kata Tjuta first gave us a deeper appreciation for the region's spiritual power. Uluru and Kata Tjuta are two parts of the same sacred story. As the sun dipped, we left the domes behind, ready for Uluru's legendary sunset. At the sunset viewing area, a hush fell over the crowd as Uluru began its nightly transformation. The rock glowed, shifting from fiery orange to deep red, then to purple as the sun slipped away. Each colour change felt like a silent conversation between earth and sky. The spectacle was mesmerising. No words, just awe. As darkness settled, Uluru became a silhouette against the twilight, the crowd quietly exhaling in wonder. We had witnessed a daily miracle, a moment of pure magic. It was the perfect culmination of our journey. At dawn, we set out on Uluru's base walk, a 10-kilometre trail circling the monolith. Up close, the rock revealed hidden waterholes, ancient art and sacred sites, each telling stories of survival and spirit. The silence and scale were humbling, the rock's presence felt alive. We moved with respect, feeling like guests in a natural cathedral. By journey's end, Uluru was no longer just a landmark. It was a living entity, its stories etched into our memory. The base walk was a pilgrimage, deepening our connection to this sacred place. On our last night, we lay on the red sand beneath a sky ablaze with stars. The Milky Way stretched overhead, a river of light in the desert darkness. With Uluru's silhouette nearby, we felt suspended between ancient Earth and infinite cosmos. The silence was profound, the stars overwhelming. We glimpsed the universe as the Anangu have for millennia. Earth and sky, one story. It was the perfect end, a reminder of the magic that still exists if you're willing to seek it. The drive back was quieter, the landscape now filled with memories and meaning. The journey's true richness lay in small moments, a cold drink, a stranger's kindness, the thrill of discovery. We learned about Australia's vastness, resilience, and the deep power of Indigenous culture. The outback's silence and sky lingered in our minds, stripping life to what matters most. The red dust may wash off, but the spirit of the journey remains. The call of the open road will always echo beneath the noise of daily life. I began this journey with a dream, and I hope it's inspired you to find your own. Australia's heart is best discovered on the road, by embracing detours, meeting strangers, and letting the land change you. The real treasures are the personal discoveries along the way. This journey connects you to something bigger: Earth, sky, and story. So listen for the call, dream your own adventure, and go. The road is waiting, and the heart of the continent is calling.